Shalom, Yasharallah. This is your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakak Wadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of the great millstone that taught us this truth and never well. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article real fast as we are, still constantly going through, all these prophecies that's taking place. Hey, but as you can see, even in the background, you're starting to see certain things change. But hey, nevertheless, you can't never trust this damn devil because, even reading inside of this here article, it seems one way on the surface, but then, further on into it, they may be able to, how do I say, we'll get to it a little bit further down, but, it is what it is. But nevertheless, we're not looking for the so-called white man to give us justice, to make things right with us, because ultimately we have a power that's going to do these things for us. All right. But nevertheless, hey, well, there's a lot of different questions to be raised about why it takes so long for some of these things to come to pass. But we're not going to let that, pretty much sway us. We're going to just read this here article and jump into some scriptures. All right. Because, hey, ultimately, it's just about what the scriptures say, man. All right. It's not about how we feel or what we think should be done or everything else like that, but what the Most High is going to do for us. All right. So let's go ahead and read it. It says, U.S. recognizing lynching as a hate crime. All right. And, hey, they have all kind of other so-called hate crimes where if you talk about certain individuals and things like that, it's a hate crime, but actually taking somebody's life, all right, and a terroristic act, all right, you should add the word terrorist to these things, man. This is what terrorists do. You say terrorists, if they go and they blow up somebody, all right, or they, go on a mass killing spree or something like that, that's a terrorist act and that was a hate crime. But then you have mobs of people who go and snatch up, a couple individuals and go and lynch and hang people, all right, mutilate their bodies and things like that, and then it's never been considered a hate crime. Or they have whole videos and or songs and things like that about it, strange fruits, all right, all these different bodies hanging from the trees and everything else like that. But nevertheless, they never considered these things, how do I put it, as hate crimes, man. They, hold on one second, let me move real quick. They never considered these things as hate crimes at this here point in time, man. All right, but now all of a sudden, they want to so-called make things right or whatever. But hey, man, nevertheless, like I said, we're not looking for what Esau can do for us and trying to make things better for us because we know that he's still the damn devil, man. All right, ultimately, we're waiting on the Most High to bring us justice, all right, to make things right. There's a lot of talk about so-called reparations in the news and everything else like that and all these different things. But ultimately, hey, like I said, we're waiting on the Most High to bring us justice, man. All right, so let's read this here article. It says President Biden has signed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. U.S. President Joe Biden signed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act into law on Tuesday, making lynching a federal hate crime for the first time in American history. All right, and that should be more shocking than how do I put it? This should be more of a damn problem to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You should be upset about this, all right? You should be upset that it took this long for them to make this a goddamn hate crime, all right? It's just like you find, again, we're not going to go too far into it, man, all right? But nevertheless, let's continue reading. It says, the law is named after Emmett Till, a 14-year-old African-American boy who was tortured and killed by two white men in Mississippi in 1955. Lynching was pure terror to enforce the law that not everyone belong in America and not everyone was created equal, all right? And we already know about that, man, all right? In reality, we as Israelites, we feel the same way. Everybody wasn't created equal, man. The Most High has his chosen people. We're the Israelites, all right? Now, we do understand that we had to go into this here captivity because we broke the law, statutes, and commandments. This was part of our punishment, all right? But ultimately, this is a temporary situation, man. All right, we're going to, the Lord's going to take us up out of this here captivity, all right? We're going to be put back on top where we were supposed to be, all right? But nevertheless, let's continue on. It says, racial hate isn't an old problem, all right? It's a persistent problem. Hate never goes away. It only hides. All of us have to stop it. And, again, when it comes into the actual, the real definition of racism and things like that, when it comes to all these different things, yeah, some people, you have tribalism where people favor their tribes over other tribes. But when it comes to this so-called racism, when people can't understand why the so-called white man don't like the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, nobody can really answer that question because, they'd be like, oh, it's because of their skin color. Well, so-called white man don't treat the so-called black man like he treat, or the so-called Africans like he treats the so-called black man. We completely different people. They're Hamites, we're Shemites. All right. So nevertheless, you have two different people that's there, even though they have the same color, so-called skin color. All right. And same with the East Indians and the Native Americans. They have the same color skin, but they're not treated the same exact way, man. All right. But, again, we know, going back to what is that, Genesis chapter 25, All right. And then also Genesis 27, Esau hated Jacob for the blessing. All right. And he had that perpetual hatred for him. That's what it really goes back onto, man. All right. It ain't got nothing to do with the skin color and everything else like that. Yeah, overall, his skin color was changed. All right. But that's actually Jacob and Esau. They was twins. All right. So, I mean, these is two different brothers. One brother hated the other brother. All right. And had a perpetual hatred. All right. And it wasn't going to ever end. All right. But nevertheless, let's continue on. It says, earlier this month, the bill passed by Senate unanimous consent and the House of Representatives by a vote of 422 with only 3 congressmen voting against it. The Emmett Till Act makes it possible to prosecute as a hate crime any conspiracy to commit a lynching that results in a death or seriously bodily injury. All right, and that's, that's cool and all or whatever, but hey, it's a little too late for that now, man. All right, it says the law defines hate crimes as offenses involving actual or perceived race, color, religion, or national origin. And see, that's where it kind of get a little sticky at. All right, because because they like to use this in their own favor for a lot of different things. They're like, oh, we're not gonna get it too far into because we don't want this video taken down or nothing like that. But y'all see a lot of these different things about how with some of these other nationalities of these other groups, they get certain type of treatments and things like that when people either just speak out against them or say anything to them or anything else like that. They don't even have to physically do anything to them. But yet for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they can call you whatever they want to call you. They can physically do whatever they want to do onto you. And it's just, it's whatever, man. All right, we've had this big so-called epidemic here in America with, the so-called police gunning down unarmed Jakes. All right, and all these so-called Karens rolling around, pretty much modern day lynching Jakes, man. All right, oh, they done stole my cell phone. Oh, they bothering me. Call the police, screaming and catching hissy fits and calling the police on FedEx and UPS drivers because they don't know who they are, even though they're in a big ass FedEx truck delivering packages and shit like that, man. Those are modern day lynchings, man. Calling the police on people because they look suspicious in their own neighborhoods, man. All right, you on your own couch eating ice cream, the police walk into the wrong apartment and shoot you and they get off, man. All right, people just, all kind of different things. These are modern day lynches, but yet and still these people get off the hook day in and day out, man. All right, it was a mistake and everything else like that. But see, we know that this is all so-called fluff, like the scriptures say, a gift destroyeth the heart. This is supposed to quell so-called black people. Oh, see, Biden, they care about us, they care. Nah, man. Like I said, man, this is a slap into your face, man. It's been, what they say, over 200 years. We're going to keep reading down. It says, let me just keep reading. It says, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, who co-sponsored the legislation during her tenure as a senator from California, supported the president's move to sign the bill by saying lynching is not a relic of the past. Racial acts of terror still occurs in our nation, and when they do, we must all have the courage to name them and hold the perpetrators to account, which that's some BS. Again, like I said, this is just to calm you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans spirit, man. Because again, in this modern days, man, everybody got cell phones. A lot of these cops are wearing what they call body cams and everything else like that. We constantly seeing Jake getting, modern day lynched on TV day in and day out, man. It's just not with a rope around their damn neck, but it's with, freeze, put your hands up, or they, getting choked out, I can't breathe type situations, man. All right. It says, Harris also noted that anti-lynching legislation was first introduced in Congress in 1900. It took over a century and 200 hearings in Congress to finally adapt the law against hate crimes. So you see, that's why it should be a slap in your face. All right, Emmett Till became a symbol for civil rights activists after his mother decided to have his casket opened at his funeral to show the world his mutilated body. In August 1955, he allegedly made a sexual advance toward a white woman. He claimed a claim rejected by his relatives. The woman, all right, again, one of these Karens, all right, just like, I was doing some research the other day, and, there's a lot of different stories like this, like, I just found out about this place where I kind of grew up at, out in Atlanta. There's a place kind of outside of Atlanta called Lake Lanier. And when you grow up out there, we ain't really had a beach like that. So for us, that's the closest thing to going to a beach, this big ass. We always knew it was a man-made lake, but we didn't know how or what the circumstance of this shit came up. And I just found out that, some so-called black people used to live there. And basically Esau flooded the whole damn land, all right, and turned their whole establishment into a big-ass man-made lake. But nevertheless, because it's basically the same scenario, a so-called perceived crime by, that was made up about a black dude doing something to a so-called raping a white woman, which didn't even happen, all right. They even tell you in the story that didn't even happen. But because, a so-called Karen, just like they do today. Oh, your son stole my cell phone. I know he did. And then come to find out the damn cell phone is in her purse the whole time. You've seen that story and other stories like this, man. All right. But nevertheless, it says the woman's husband and brother were prosecuted over Emmett's death, but was acquitted by the jury. Later, they confessed to committing the murder in a magazine interview, but was never put to trial again. All right. And so, hey, man, these are the things that's going on. And there was another story I was just looking at the other day about this woman who was out drunk with her friends. And basically, she was out drunk with her friends and everything else like that. And, one of her, some dude came up to her and started trying to holler at her and everything else like that. And that's as far as it went, and then all of a sudden, things just went whatever, they just separated ways and everything else like that. But nevertheless, what happened was her and her friends got into an argument and got into a fight, her and her female friends. And to stop the fight, she wound up claiming that the dude raped her, and which all he did was pretty much just holler at the chick, and she kind of like turned him down. But then, come to find out, the next day they kept, going on with their little story that they was telling each other, and then they called the police and had the old boy arrested. All right, had him arrested. They had no evidence but her crocodile tears. Homeboy he was charged or sentenced to 20 years in jail. After 4 years later, homegirl felt bad and went and told the police that, she made the whole story up and lied. All right, and even though they had it in court and everything that she lied about this, it took another, 6 months for them to actually release this dude out of jail. All right, and then she got, she got, I think, 3 years in jail, and she may be able to get out after a year and a half, man. All right, so, hey, man, these public lynchings are still happening today, but see, yet and still, they're like, oh, she just lied in court. It wasn't the same thing as, it was a public hate crime or anti-lynching, all right? But nevertheless, let's continue this off. It says, according to the finding from the Tuskegee University between 1882 and 1968, 4,743 people were lynched in the United States, including 3,446 African Americans and 1,297 white people, in which these numbers are inaccurate, which you can find that in other material because they didn't necessarily count all these damn lynchings, man. All right, for every 100 lynchings, they probably would have only counted, 5 to 10 of them. All right, but nevertheless, let's grab some scriptures here because, hey, this ain't nothing new. Matter of fact, let's so I quoted this a little earlier. Genesis 27. Going back to about racism and where racism starts. It says Genesis 27:41, and Esau hated Jacob. All right, Esau hated Jacob, not Jacob hated Esau. All right, and this is one of the things that you'll keep finding throughout the whole scriptures is that Esau hated Jacob. So this is where racism starts at, man. All right, we read in the book of Genesis. Jacob and Esau were Isaac's children. All right, so this is and at this point in time, Isaac is on his deathbed. So you can go back this far in history and see where this started out at. All right, it says Genesis 27:41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, all right, Esau said, all right, this is what Esau was doing, the so-called white man. All right, Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So, hey, this is, I forgot how they call it, where it's, premeditated, more or less to say. All right, he pre-planned this. All right, and this is still going on in his mind to the same day, man. The scripture say the wicked don't go to bed unless they plot some damn wickedness, man. And this is what they do, man, trying to find a way to catch Jacob, man. All right, they lynch Jake in all kinds of different ways, not just with this. They'll also have a so-called slow death, man. All right, set up shop in your neighborhood and sell you nothing but poisons, tobacco products, and cheap alcohol, cheap snacks, and all kind of shit like that to kill you off, man. Do all kind of experiments in your neighborhoods, like they was talking about Tuskegee University. What about the Tuskegee experiment, where they gave our men syphilis and things like that, man? All right, not to mention all the other things they've done to us, smallpox in the blankets and things, and they wonder why we don't trust this damn devil, man. All right, it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him, and Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. All right, so this is where that perpetual hatred started at. It says, in these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, does comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. So, hey, this is what Esau's whole MO. His whole plan was to just off Jake, man. Basically, what they call genocide Jake off, man. Completely annihilate all of the Israelites, man. And at this point in time, it was just Jacob at that point. But nevertheless, hey, as time went down in history, this is what his plan was to do. All right, this is how he was going to have it. All right. Let's go back. I was going to read this in this is Daniel 9:12. It says, and he has confirmed his word which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us by bringing upon us a great evil. All right, and so part of this great evil, well, first of all, the great evil was going back in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 on down. You know, all the curses that the Lord said was going to come upon us for not serving him. That's why we say we know it's not really against a color thing, but this is all, you know, a part of the scriptures. We didn't follow after the law, statutes, commandments. So, hey, the Most High brought upon us this great evil, which consisted of what? You know, the curses. And part of the curses was the Lord was going to bring a nation from a far away, a fierce nation. And that nation would have been Esau, the Edomites. All right. It says, for under the whole, it says, and he have confirmed his word, which he has spake against us and against our judges that judged us by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done unto Jerusalem. All right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The worst things that's been done under the whole sun, under the whole history of the earth, have been done to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans at the hands of the so-called white man. All right, Esau wound up hating his brother Jacob. All right, and Esau, let me grab this first real quick. Actually, let me grab, I'll come back to that. Ezekiel 35:5 says, yep, it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. All right, Esau had this perpetual hatred against Jacob from the beginning all up into the same time, man. And he ain't never let off the gas, man. All right, he's been all gas, no brakes the whole time. He's had this perpetual hatred against his brother Jacob, man. All right, and you've seen this from generation to generation to generation. So you'll say, oh, racism ain't is getting better. You know, it's not as bad as it used to be. You know, yeah, man. They just changed the names of everything else like that, man. You don't see the so-called Klan, you know, walking around with their sheets going in and burning down people's houses no more. But yet what you see, they took off the little sheets and everything else like that and put a badge on. All right, because when you go back to the police officers, what do they go back to? Slave catchers, man. All right, they just reinvented, you know, changed outfits, basically, man. Changed their little names up, but it's the same exact thing, man. All right, you know, they didn't took off the sheets and put on badges now. All right, they're not going inside of people's homes no more and lynching you and accusing you of raping white women nowadays. Nowadays, they're accusing you of sexually assaulting them. You know, there's plenty of these videos. A little boy walking in the store in his backpack just so happened to rub up against this white woman backside or whatever. And she, oh, your son. Now, this little boy ain't no older than 5 years old. Don't even know what grabbing ass is. All right, just so happened to be walking past somebody in a damn store. His backpack rubbed up against this woman. Told some, oh, your son grabbed my ass. He sexually assaulted me. Woman, the little boy don't know what the hell sex is or sexual assault it even is, man. If you left him in a room with 100 little girls, he wouldn't know what the fuck to do with these little girls, man. As far as sexually, you know what I'm saying? He at the age, he don't know no better about that. But yet you screaming and all of this is, you know, hollering and everything like this boy really sexually assaulted you, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just akin to, you know, you in a clothing store or something like that or somewhere or on a train, you trying to get past somebody in the hallway and y'all just rubbing up against somebody. Ain't nobody sexually assaulting you, man. It's just a confined space, but yet and still they want to start screaming and everything else like that. Another story about, again, I keep bringing up the cell phone one, where the woman accused this little boy of stealing her cell phone in the store with their parents and shit, and come to find out the lady did all this screaming and everything. It was like, just call the cell phone and find out what it's, I mean, we all right here, so if he stole the phone, I mean, we didn't check his pockets. He ain't got it on him, so call the phone, come to find out the phone is inside her purse the whole time. Now she want to start crying. But if it would have went down her way, all right, they would have called the police. The police would have came up on the little boy. You see Tamir Rice, they called the police on him because he was playing in the park with a toy gun. Police just rolled up on him and just shot him point blank, period. No negotiation, no nothing, man. All right, but Dylan Roof can go up in the church, go kill up a whole bunch of people with a real gun, and they take him into custody. All right, but hey, this is what we have going on, man. All right, Esau's had this perpetual hatred, man. All right, they just go and treat Jake like a pure beast, man. Go and just put Jake down day in and day out. And you know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans think that these people, you know, they're getting nicer and nicer. And it's not all of them. No, man. They just changed their little ways of doing things, man. Now they do it in a different type of way, man. Now they go into your neighborhood with so-called drug busting. Oh, we kicked in the wrong door and killed the wrong people. And it's the same exact thing as those old-ass lynchings, man. They're doing the same exact thing, putting drugs and gang violence and all kind of things into your neighborhoods, making you do a lot of the work, man. All right, but let's continue on. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of thy blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity and the time of their end. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. It says, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. All right. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, and his hills and in his valleys with in all the rivers, and they shall fall that are slain by the sword. And I will make thee a perpetual desolation, and all his cities shall not return, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. All right. Let me just let me just read on down. It says, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas Yahweh was there. And not only did they take our land, all right, the land of Israel, and then they also came and took the Americas from the northern kingdom, all right. But then you also reigned on top of the southern and the northern kingdom, man, and oppressing us, man, even to this same day, man. It says, matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. Jeremiah 50 and 33, it says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel, so-called Latinos and Native Americans, and Judah, the southern kingdom, the so-called Negroes, West Indies, and Haitians, all right, were oppressed together. And who oppressed them together? Where were they oppressed at the same time by the same people? All right, first in the land of Egypt, but we ain't talking about that. We talking about here in the land of Babylon, man. At this point in time, it says let me read it again. The children, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go. All right, and that's where we at to the same day. We're still in their possession, man. They refuse to let us go even into the same day. All right. Let's go back. Ezekiel 35 and verse 10. It says, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas Yahweh was there. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I will, even according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known when I have judged thee. And so, hey, again, this is why we said, hey, we waiting on the Most High to do his work, man. All right, this ain't in our hand or in our power. We're not waiting for the so-called white man to give us justice. Hey, the Most High is going to give us justice, man. All right, he's going to do the same thing to them as they done unto us. All right, but nevertheless, let me just go ahead and bring that out. We'll close out with that. And this is Jeremiah 30 and verse 16. It says, Jeremiah 30 and 16, it says, therefore all they that devoured thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. And so, hey, man, they have a big bill to pay, man. They have they have to pay for these things, man, because ultimately, like the scripture say, what goes around comes around, in just so many words. Hey, all that preyed upon thee, that touched thee, that took thee into captivity, we can bring that out too. That don't come out as often no more, but hey, Revelation 13, 9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. And here's the patience and faith of the saints. So, hey, this is what we're patiently waiting for, the Most High to bring us justice, man. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord will the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions, defeat and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.